Good morning, ASEAN. Welcome to the daily ASEAN Breakfast Call. Today is Thursday, the 13th of March. We have our guest host, William, with us in the studio today.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, this is, I think this is my second time on air. Oh no, the third time on air here together with Vienna and the
Welcome,
ASEAN.
William.
Yeah, so glad to have you here and so glad to have me here as well. Yeah, so actually today is quite still not, I would call it a happy day, but it's a hazy day.
Yeah,
Since this morning,
I woke
right?
up this morning, another hazy day.
Another hazy
Which is worse
day.
than yesterday, because yesterday was okay, you know.
Yeah, but we still can smell the smell of burning, something burnt.
Yeah.
Right? So, again, it's not only the hazy day for Malaysia, but it's a hazy day to those who, the families of the MH370. Well, let's have a look, just a quick browse through about what's happened in the day 5. According to the Interpol yesterday, they said it does not believe that the appearance of the disappearance of the MH370 was the result of a terrorist attack. And according to the Royal Malaysian Navy, Chief Admiral Tan Sri Abdul Aziz Jaafar says no submarine used in search and rescue mission to locate MH370 as they are installed with sonar detector systems that are incapable of detecting static objects on the seabed. Well, this is one of the things that criticized by lots of online users. Especially, they've been just spreading around the rumors and blaming why the Malaysian government did not use our own submarine to do the rescue. And actually, according to what the Chief Admiral said, from the RMN, because this is not meant for the searching, not for the rescue, it's meant for the war, the battle.
Okay.
So it's battleship. It's not compared to others. And okay, that's some news. I think everyone should just concern about this. I'm not sure. It's also making the world how they look at Malaysia. Now Malaysia has become a country that cannot be trusted. You know why? Because
A joke?
It's not a joke. Actually, they keep changing their data or their report.
Okay.
One of it is that, based on a military report.
Yeah.
A military radar records that being corroborated record, so have an unidentified aircraft was flying 200 nautical miles northwest of Penang at 2:15 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, it's been reported missing somewhere, I think around like 2:45, right? So, somewhere around that. But actually, it's been reported there's something flying off the northwest of the Penang at 2:15 in the morning.
But how could it be possible? It's heading towards Vietnam, right?
That's why. It should be like when they said it's last seen on the civilian radar, it should be on the Gulf of Thailand. But at the end, they keep changing. So that's why it's making some of the countries, the rescue teams, they feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Just including Vietnam. They once stopped to involve in the rescue and also saving the missions. But now they keep continuing, we know that. But the problem is they've been frustrated. And just imagine if someone that keep changing about their data, their statement, how are you going to save it? How are you going to proceed for your operation? It's quite hard, isn't it? Yeah. Well, let's see what's going to have. Maybe since it's moving on to the day 6, and hopefully it will be having some improvement and a good news, positive news. Not saying just change their statement. Okay, now starting from the Southeast China Sea, now they're going to enhance it. The rescue and the area, enhance it to the Andaman Sea. Can you imagine that? Last night when I heard that, wow, they're going to expand it to Andaman Sea. That's something ridiculous to me. It sounds ridiculous.
But even Brunei has sent its navy to start searching,
Have you ever wondered why most of the countries are sending their rescue teams, but some of the countries that their rescue team, just for example, they have their ships and so on. All those can be used in the better as well, right? So I don't know what's the story behind that. Maybe they have their own their own target or their own objective they want to achieve. Well, let's see what's going to happen in this day 6 tomorrow.
Yep. And pray for MH370. And on a related note, for a lot of people who have been using hashtag pray for MH370, we noted a lot of pictures of selfie pictures with MH370 on it. So, which is related to our next report coming from Times, naming some of the lists of the selfiest cities in the world. And Southeast Asia has been featured prominently. Coming from Yahoo News, this news states that 2 Philippine cities named the selfie capital of the world. And for the top 10, we have Makati and Pasig City from Philippines, Manhattan, New York City, Miami, the third in Florida. Then we have one of the city in California, Santa Ana. And number 5 is Petaling Jaya, Malaysia. Number 6 is Tel Aviv, Israel. Number 7 is Manchester, England. Number 8 is Milan, Italy. Number 9 is Cebu, Philippines. And number 10 is Georgetown, Malaysia.
Well, how they judge it, yeah? Because Malaysia been listed in the rank of number 5 and number 10.
Yes.
We should proud of that or not? Shall we?
So it's out of selfie takers per 100,000 of your population. So they will count, like, for example, in New York City is 202, and this Pasig City in Philippines is 258, out of 100,000.
Well, Petaling Jaya, Malaysia in the rank number 5.
Yeah, we're one of them.
We have 2 on the list. Well, that's unbelievable. So Malaysia is always having in the top 10 in all of this, I don't know, should we say useless or what, ranking?
Yeah, besides that as well, Muang Nonthaburi in Thailand was ranked 44th. And Singapore is ranked 53rd with 46 selfie takers per 100,000. And Indonesia has 3 cities in top 100. Denpasar at 18, Yogyakarta at 43rd, and Bandung at 88.
Do you selfie?
So, I'm an exceptional case,
right?
but because I don't know.
You don't have the confidence, or you are too confident.
Oh, I think that's the opposite of the story, because if you look at the next news from Times, they featured some of the interviews with psychologists and psychiatrists. For example, one of them, psychiatrist Dr. Pan Pimol, he says that.
Sounds like from Thais, right?
Yeah. Young Thais who post pictures of themselves on social media but don't receive enough positive feedbacks or likes are encountering emotional problems. And it actually lowers their self-esteem.
Then why they still need to post it on the social media, since like they're willing to get more like and make themselves popular, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if they're getting the negative feedback, so what?
I mean, there's no dislike button, right?
Yeah,
and
Facebook
you can delete the negative comments.
No, I think once ago, some of this comment I've seen on the Facebook, some people did comment about this. Okay, Facebook should consider a dislike button because some of the posts we really don't like it, especially when we look at the news of the MH370, the cases of that. There are lots of the rumors speculating around about what's happening there, and actually it's not the real things. It's not a real case. It's not a real story. They just simply spread it and without any responsibility. I think that's really irresponsible. So we should dislike it, not share and like it,
Yeah, but at the same time, for example, not just for MH, even for Thai protests, we find incidents of a lot of Instagram protesters.
Exactly.
That's what they call them in Thailand, where if you ask any of those people who are taking selfie pictures in front of protests, they wouldn't even be able to tell you what the protest is about.
So you just simply have a wild guess. Okay, this is maybe the mistake of someone or maybe of the government. So you will have the wrong perception about the real story behind it. Yeah.
But then again, we don't really know how serious the phenomenon is. What we do know is that it's an emerging phenomenon because not just the previous two news report, even Bangkok Post reported about it, saying how youngsters are warned over selfie addiction because, with Thailand having 19 million Facebook users, the mental health expert also quoted American psychiatrists saying that selfies, again, could undermine one's self-confidence. She say that, if Thai youth become lax in confidence, this means that they are unlikely to try new things in their life and they will just simply follow and imitate others. And that will make it hard for them to develop a workforce, and especially a creative one.
Well, I think nowadays the youth or the youngsters, they have a very weak self-confidence. They totally don't have it. Maybe I should say that because they mainly rely on the Facebook, on the social media to create or build up their self-esteem or their self-confidence.
Yeah, also.
That shouldn't be the right way, isn't it? They should go out and look at the world, or travel around the world and meet with people. So I think that's we lost touch. We have lost touch with the human, I guess.
I think traveling is also a problem because
why?
What we feel right now, a lot of people, we were discussing it with our colleagues yesterday, a lot of people travel not really to experience, but rather to take pictures. Take good pictures for collection on Facebook.
Yes, so, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. When you go to travel, definitely you're going to just leave down a memory, a good memory, a beautiful memory, right? So you're taking pictures, that's common.
Yeah, but
nothing
what?
Wrong with that.
But what if you are not really in the moment at all? Because we noted how some of, say, our friends and whatnot, they are there and they're not really happy. Well, they take beautiful pictures of a place, but not necessarily happy. So I'm wondering, what is the effect to psychology and self-esteem? How, in this era of visual digital media, so it makes people more depressed, isn't it?
Depressed in terms of what? In terms of the
For example, if let's say I have Facebook and
you
I
mean
see
the
people.
privacy?
No.
You don't have the privacy.
No. So if you look at your friends having all these beautiful pictures, it makes you compare yourself against them. And
why we need to compare?
That's what people do. Yeah. So in the process, you depress yourself for not being able to, let's say, go to all these beautiful places that your friends have, or you're not as beautiful as that girl, or whatnot. And this. Yeah, it seems to be a trend that is worsening.
A trend? Well, that's a serious negative trend that we shouldn't follow. Because to me, if we, the Facebook or maybe the social media, what should we do? It's about we should know, okay, this social media and the Facebook things should be something that's sharing on our daily life. I mean, they're sharing good things with our friends or siblings, but it's not trying to show off. You see, sharing and show off is two different ideas. Yeah,
but let's just say that a lot of people treat their Facebook profile as a kind of branding of their own,
but that's the other story. That's the other story.
Yes, I guess we are focusing a little more on what's the effect of psychology on a lot of vulnerable youth.
Yeah,
I feel. So what would happen would be. It seems like your self-esteem would depend on the likes. It would depend on how beautiful your profile is.
Yeah, I do agree. If the purpose, I mean the objective, you want to use, you want to share it with your friends how beautiful the life is and whatever is happening in your life. If that's a real thing, that's a true story, it doesn't matter. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But the only problem is that most of the, I wouldn't say most, or maybe part of it, of the online users, the Facebook users, they use the Facebook as a platform to just gain more attention. So they simply create something that doesn't exist. I mean the story. Okay, they can just simply Photoshop some things and just simply tag or hashtag on that and just spreading around the rumors. And this is not right. This is crazy. Because you're going to make people believe. Most of the users they rely on the online informations, the social medias quite a lot. Just imagine how many hours you spend on the internet. So that's why the information you gain from the internet sometimes make you believe when people just tweeting around or just sharing around about the news, they don't care whether it's true or not, it's a real story or not. They just simply share it. The more people share it, I mean the credibility will increase. That's the problem with it. When you believe it and it doesn't exist, what's going to happen? Right?
But I think on the topic of a selfie, again, I personally think that it makes people, feel increasingly hard to be happy.
Then don't selfie. Are you trying to say that the conclusion is don't selfie because it makes you not happy?
I'll advise similarly to Dr. Pan Pimol, saying that just don't be addicted to it and don't be obsessed over it.
It's quite hard because now people has been obsessed to it now.
Yeah. So not just regular people, even the Archbishop of Philippines. A news report from Philippines Daily Enquirer says that the Archbishop Cruz is trying to learn how to selfie as well. In fact, Vatican City actually sent out trainings of how the pastors could keep up with technology and strive to be present in social media. So yeah, they're
training on selfie.
Yeah.
Okay, is this some kind of the idea like teach you how to do the photography? Is it a similar thing?
Basically Vatican City told the pastors that they need to keep up with technology.
Why did they teach the pastor to selfie?
Yeah, so what Archbishop Emeritus Oscar Cruz did was he started taking pictures in front of the mirror of him. Although he admits that he's not really good at it yet, because half of it covered his own face. But I think it's a good trend as well.
But I wonder why, because you just said that selfie may cause some negative, feeling in yourself.
Yeah, when I say good trend, I mean that it's good that say politicians or even religious authorities, they are now being more responsive or more connected to the people. That's what is good in it. But the methods and whatnot, it can be debated.
Yeah, maybe.
So we'll have a short break right now and we'll come back with you about some stories from Jakarta. Welcome back to ASEAN Breakfast Call. Next on, we have a news from Jakarta Post talking about the previous general election in East Nusa Tenggara. So what they have mentioned is that the printers should be held responsible for any damaged ballot papers, especially those that have been found to have a pre-marked, or those who have been found to even been damaged through natural cause.
I think EC should take the responsibility as well. It's not only the printers, because they deliver the products, and who should do the final checking, the QC? Supposed to be the EC, isn't it?
No. There are some cases where they are jointly responsible, and some cases that the printers are solely responsible for. Yeah. So what happens is that I think they will replace some of the damaged ballots that has been found, and I think this is a very positive development because. For example, in Malaysia, you probably wouldn't have such a openness in admitting that, there are ballot papers which are damaged or incorrectly printed or even incorrectly printed in the correct quantity and whatnot. They will even come out to say a statement that, we will be jointly responsible for any of the ballot papers.
Yes, because it's quite serious. It's a serious issue to me because, like, for this ballot paper, if you print it wrongly, especially the information in between. Just for example, some of the candidates, if you print the name wrongly, or maybe just imagine what's going to happen. When you open up the votes. Okay, just imagine how many of that vested votes going to be. And affected one of the result.
I think there's
elections.
more than 1,405 ballots that were found damaged,
Wow.
with ink stains and tears. Yeah.
If that's not a big, having so many voters in that area, that is not considered a big number. But if just for imagine some of the area, they only have 2,000, 3,000, just few thousand of the voters. 1,400 ballots that printed wrong means something, right? So it means a lot to that voting area.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that I always find inspiring from the Indonesian elections is that the way they conduct the elections. Firstly, it's conducted over a period of a few weeks actually, and it's even conducted in places like below your flat and very, very near to where you are staying. And they make it convenient for other people to vote.
That's one of the good things we should learn. Malaysia should learn, right? As a democratic country.
Yeah, and the fact that this statement was actually issued by the General Elections Commission head, Johannes Depa of East Nusa Tenggara, says very much about the kind of accountability and transparency that they have. So I think good job, Indonesia. So
Good job.
So next on, we have quite a few news articles on the new AEC coming into place, the ASEAN Economic Community. So, for example, in Myanmar and Laos, they're actually going to start to cooperate in the banking sector. So, from the Central Bank of Myanmar and the Central Bank of Laos. So, they will develop a common banking sector. And they have.
What does that mean? Actually, I don't really get it.
So for example, the central banks are normally in charge of policy making. So if they cooperate, meaning that they will probably formulate some banking policies together, and then some regulations, and they might even share data. Financial institutions.
So this is a cooperation between two countries, right? Two ASEAN countries,
central banks.
Central banks, Myanmar and Laos. But does that mean something? Like we know that Myanmar and Laos, they are still considered as developing countries, and their democratic, the governments might have some issues with each other, but at this moment they don't have it. But I'm not sure why they're having this cooperation in the bank. In terms of the commercial and business.
If you know that the vision of a ASEAN Economic Community is to have a common one market and one production base. So definitely, like for example, for CIMB, I know that they're already planning ahead to sync all their banks
throughout the ASEAN
division
countries.
in the different countries. And so they will already have one banking sector. And I think that this is necessary in order to facilitate trade in the future.
So this is for the benefit of all, right?
Yep. And we also noted that Philippines seems to be one of the countries which are spearing ahead. We have seen a lot of news reports coming out from Philippines, for example, from GMA News, from PIA News, talking about how they are gearing up for ASEAN 2015. So, for example, the thrift banks in Philippines said that, they are getting ready by understanding what ASEAN integration is. And also, they are also doing a lot of educations for the SME, the small, medium enterprises.
That's a good thing to all the business entrepreneurs in not only in Malaysia but also throughout the ASEAN countries, because we have lots of the SMEs entrepreneurs, so that they can have business bridging and then cooperation in the regions.
But I think that correct me if I'm wrong. There doesn't seem like there's as much awareness as there is in Philippines, in Malaysia, because when we were looking for news pieces, we saw a lot of sources from Philippines. Like I mentioned just now was GMA News. Now it's PIA News talking about in Western Visaya in the Philippines. Even the government is actively involved in making sure that the SMEs get the necessary training that they need in order to be prepared for ASEAN 2015.
Yeah, the ASEAN envisions an economic community, which is you can just call it EC, right? In the 2015, characterized by a single market and production-based competitive economic region, equitable economic development, and integrated into the global economy. So, in his keynote, what his address is about. During the Western Visayas Forum on the AEC 2015 held Tuesday, which means that yesterday, two days ago, right? The National Economic Development Authority Director General how to pronounce the name?
Arsenio Bali second.
Yeah, Bali second. Okay, said the government continues to improve business climate, promote an environment that increases productivity and innovative capacity.
And also consumer welfare and market access.
Yeah, this is what they're trying to increase and promote, yeah?
Yeah, in Western Visayas. So, on the other hand, we have ASEAN Secretariat making news about how they are going to develop a new vision on food, agriculture and forestry towards 2020. So they are stating that, hey, AEC is not even the final goal for ASEAN economic integration, and we are currently looking ahead of that as well. So by chartering the community councils to draft reports beyond 2015, so that we will have a deeper regional economic integration. So in the previous 22nd ASEAN summit, so the ASEAN leaders actually started tasking all the ASEAN community councils, like we know, the economic councils, the political security, and one of the other councils to start working on a post-2015 vision.
Actually, this type of the integration with the ASEAN countries, in terms of the economic and the business, I think it's quite good to everyone. It's a win-win-win situations.
Yeah, and
triple win.
Yeah, so in the future, you can expect that in food, agriculture, and forestry, there's definitely going to be deeper integration.
Yeah, but this integration is only limited to business and commercial, right?
No, you're talking about political security as well. Yeah, and you're talking about social cultural as well.
Social culture, I have no issues about it. But if you're talking about national security, how between the ASEAN countries, how are they going to work together?
For example, if I'm not mistaken, the previous in just a week or two ago, Philippines president came,
Yes.
and he to Malaysia, for example, and a lot of people mentioned that they were talking about how do we commonly, let's say, defend the South China Seas together.
But that's a common security issues, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the internal affair. Okay, I give you some examples. If something happened to, do you still remember what's happening in the Sabah there, northern, I guess.
The Sulu invasion?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, if this involved the national security issues, so who should taking the responsibility on that, and how the Malaysian government and the Philippine government should deal about this?
Well, I think that if they have a mutual agreement that in cases of conflict like this, they are going to work it out together, that means that Philippines will actually, instead of staying passive, like for example, maybe in Sabah they have stayed a little more passive, so they will work together to find out who, let's say, the terrorist is, and
But up to now, it's still yet to solve the problem, and there's maybe the United States try to involve in these issues, right? They can take this opportunity to take it as a reason or excuse, regardless how you're going to call it. Okay, it's a reason, it's an excuse to interrupt or interfere in the ASEAN region's national security issues.
Yeah, I think
giving the open door to them.
I think in international relations, we will always be conscious of the big superpowers, for example, now US, China, and whatnot. They are always going to be trying to exert their influence.
Yes.
We know that Philippines is a close alliance of US,
Yes, so that's why I think why the AEC, ASEAN Economic Community, why they say the final goal is not only the integration about the business, but I think it's about strengthen the relationships in between the ASEAN countries against the Western force. I'm not sure. Is that
Well,
just a
we
conspiracy
will not
theory?
will not know how things will play out in the next 10 years. But the fact that that the demographic in ASEAN is actually very favorable because there's a huge youth population would mean that there might be a turning tide in global politics.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it could be. Who knows? Because you wouldn't know what the youth going to tend to support, right?
Okay, yeah. So next on, we have a news from Cambodia Daily saying that the Prime Minister tells its teachers to be glad that you are not paid in rice.
Oh.
And this is in response to
What's
the
that
teachers.
supposed to say?
Yeah, this is in response of the teachers' protest that they should have a minimum salary of $250. And so, in response, during one of their graduation ceremony, the Prime Minister, who handed out 1,000 new teacher certificates, tell them that you should be glad because 35 years ago during Khmer Rouge, you are only paid in bags of rice each month. So what this really tells them, okay, if we just to provide a little context about what Khmer Rouge is for our listeners, it was a time where the regime was practicing social engineering policies where they would actually systematically try to eradicate intellectuals and the elites in society. So now that 35 years later, the Prime Minister is still comparing to the same state as it is before. I think it resonates with us in Malaysia because I think just yesterday, Najib was our Prime Minister was saying how we could buy chicken with one ringgit. Yeah. So and of course, we have a tweet by our former Prime Minister Mahathir saying, commenting on Najib on a few things, but one of the things is that millions of people are watching, especially after the disappearance of MH370. So Najib, please don't do stupid publicity stunts.
But do you agree with that?
Well, I'll leave it up to the listeners to decide.
Well, to me, personally, I think is I wouldn't call it a stupid stunt or whatever is it, but somehow, maybe just the media also taking the responsibility on that in reporting the news. I don't know why Dato Sri Najib going to say that, okay, 1 ringgit for a chicken, or he has bought
we
the
all
chicken
know
with
that
1
it's
ringgit.
more than 8 ringgit.
Yeah, that's why I wondered, because you haven't seen the KFCs selling their meal set cheaper. No, we said the chicken still selling at a normal price. It's not 1 ringgit. You see, so there might be something that the media tried to twist it. I'm not saying the media trying to do something conspiracy, maybe because now everyone want to see the news, or maybe want to see the government having some become a jokes, become to the world. You see, so I'm not sure why the media want to tweet it, or maybe it's because of the social media.
Yeah, I personally think that there are always a little grain of truth in something. Yeah. So even
so, what's the truth? You wouldn't say that.
So, but I would just say that what I think is respect shouldn't be asked for. It should be earned, through your performance.
That's a good statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after this, we'll be moving on to our next session where we will interview one of our fellow friends talking about permaculture from it. Good morning. Today we have Piecemeal representative Zain HD with us today. He will be sharing a little about permaculture and also what Piecemeal does, which is essentially an organization that seeks to bring about cultural, intellectual, spiritual understanding of Islam, and they do a host of varieties of activities as well. Zain?
Yes, hi.
Yeah. Would you share with us what Piecemeal is?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, that it brings about those understandings of Islam, because at current hand, when you say England, people think Harrods, Queen of England, House of Parliament, River Thames. So today, when some people say Islam, the first thing that comes to your mind is terrorism, hudud, polygamy. So the only way these narratives that can change is if you offer people a different narrative. So the kind of programs that we do tend to talk about, say, things in relation to, say, poetry in the Muslim tradition, or, say, coffee in the Muslim tradition, or what does the metaphysics teachings of certain scholars in relation to, say, gender. That's in terms of what some of the programs that we do. We also try to do a few community programs, which is has something to do with permaculture and has something to do beyond permaculture. But that's another story for another day, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it regarding permaculture that you guys are doing, and possibly an introduction of what is permaculture for our listeners?
Okay, now this is a bit tricky and it's a bit lengthy. Like I was in the car from Malacca to KL with my colleague, and it took me about good 1 hour to really explain full what permaculture is. Granted, because it's such an alternative and at this point a very fringe understanding of things that is a bit, with the frame of mind that we have now, it makes it very tricky to just get what permaculture is. I sat in a 2-week course, and I think it took about a good 5 days for the instructor to fully explain to us the whole works. Now, of course, we don't have 5 days, but I'll try. Okay. So, permaculture is the conscious, ethical design system of a permanent living or permanent culture, which is what it's short for, permanent agriculture. But it goes beyond agriculture, so I wouldn't just say agriculture. Now, what that means is that if you were to be in an environment, you design the elements in the environment. That design is based on ethics, and that design is conscious and not accidental, and that design helps or works towards a sustainable living. So it's not, now if I were to put it into context, and a lot of people understand the environmental scene. So now environmentalists might say, okay, we need to use hybrid cars because it uses less fuels, right? But permaculture doesn't always see it that way. The permaculture person might look into, not in terms of conserving by using less, but what can we get by putting more input to get more output.
Okay.
Right? So for example, now this is, say, if you were to design a home, when you wash your hands, that water, it goes into your toilet, you flush the toilet, that water goes into your garden, that waters your garden, and then you grow, say, herbs, and that herbs you consume it, and the surplus you can sell it. So just by the one resource of water is now multiplied usage. Whereas in today's industrialized, today's standard thinking of the world, now we all don't use paper money to wipe our behinds because we all have toilet paper, different quality of paper, right? And that's clever. Now, why are we using drinking water to also wash our floors? Why are we using the same quality of water that's suitable for consumption to also wash our floors? So what some people might do is that the water that they shower with, they keep it and they use it again for the toilet, to wash their floors, to wash their cars. There's an array of things that can be done. Same goes with rainwater. So some people, what they do is that they have water harvesting systems. So they keep the water that comes from the rain and they consume it somehow. Some people use it for drinking. Some people don't use it for drinking and use it for other things. But resources are now being used multiple times and for multiple outcomes as opposed to just one thing. But
so it's an efficient use of resources.
I wouldn't say just an efficient use of resources,
Okay.
but what is waste from one element of the chain becomes resource for another element of the chain. Okay? So for example, if it's a toilet, now ideally you don't want to use the standard toilet that we use now, but you have a toilet that goes into, say, a simple tank, or not a tank, like a chamber at the bottom of your toilet, and you put, say, dead leaves and coconut coir and some stuff in there, and you keep on using. So every time you use the toilet, you put some brown stuff on top, meaning dry leaves and stuff. After 3 months, you cap that thing off, you close it, and then you start another toilet. Now, 3 months later, that stuff that contained whatever that you put in there, within 3 months, it becomes fertilizer. So your waste now turns into something that is useful for the plant. And it doesn't smell. That's the amazing part. So instead of using so much water, whether it's cheap quality water, not suitable for drinking, or good quality water for drinking, that you use to flush your toilet that goes out of your house, now you contain everything within your home, and everything that is contained is useful for something. Now, a typical person would have a car, and he doesn't want his car to get so exposed by the sun, might build an awning that is made from plastic and steel. Why not build a trellis, and then the plants will creep on the trellis, and now the plants get the sun that they want, the car doesn't get the sun that it doesn't want, the temperature of your house goes down, you get more fresh air from the trellis, and visually it looks better, as opposed to a plastic awning that might deteriorate in 10 years' time. So that's why I'm saying it's not just a conservationist mindset. It's about how do you make use of the resources. I think the next part I need to touch on permaculture very briefly is it has a lot to do with mimicking nature. Now, we know that a lot of people have this thing where they say if you leave the jungle on its own for 50 years, life will flourish. But if man comes in, man will destroy it. Yeah, because man comes in with a very different mindset. So permaculture looks at nature and tries to mimic what nature does, because it seems that nature on its own can survive very well. So it observes how nature works, and then it tries to apply into your own system. It's a bit tricky to say, but let's just say gardening, right? Now, we are saying gardening, but you have flowers all in one patch, or you want to grow everything in one patch. But if you look at how the forest behaves, the tall trees live next to each other with the shorter trees. The long-term trees live next to each other with the short trees. The leaves that shed from the trees goes down to the soil and actually works together with the soil. But over here today, when we do gardening, when we cut our grass, we actually rake the dead leaves and we throw it away. When the best thing to do, which is to mimic nature, which is to leave the dead grass on the current patch that you just mowed. Because when you leave dead grass on there, it actually helps the soil and the grass. So it challenges a lot of the things in terms of how we operate today. You know, in terms of gardening, because when you have a lot of flowers and then you have pesticides, or when you spray pesticides, you don't realize that some of that gets blown into your home and your children are inhaling this pesticide. But why are we using all this land to plant pretty flowers when we could use all this land to plant, say, fruits and herbs? That means you now have to spend less money on buying vegetables, less money on buying fruits, and not just less money, but fruit that would have typically been imported either from Australia or from Perlis. All that energy that is required to transport that fruit to your home, that fruit is now just 10 steps away and it lives in your garden. So it's not just about how much money I can save, but how much more energy I can save and how much more output I can get in return. And that fruit is fresh. You pluck it off your garden and you consume it straight away. Now, with all the talk of organic consumption, all that, how much more organic can you get than that? See? So a lot of things, even food waste. So there's a number of things that can be done. Like I know some homes, they never throw away any vegetables, extra vegetables or fruit. What is? Cover, right? I've lost the word now. So when they peel, it's fruit peel. So when they peel oranges, they don't throw it in the dustbin. That peel goes into a bin, and they mix that bin with dead leaves. And in due time, that whole bin turns into fertilizer, and put it on their plant, natural fertilizer, and their plants flourish even better than they would have had to go out into a nursery and buy fertilizer. Now they're driving up to the nursery and then they're paying for the fertilizer. And they're coming back on. All of that can be done in your garden. If you check out the YouTube video Earthship, or I think Garbage Warrior, this architect has basically designed a house where it's completely off the grid. They don't consume electricity from the power grid. They don't take any water from the water pipe. They don't even have sewage pipes that goes out the house. They don't even have heating systems in the winter, nor cooling system in the summer, because the way that they have designed the house can manage all these things on their own. Absolutely fantastic.
I think it's a really beautiful philosophy and ecology of viewing everything as interconnected. But then again, why should we change the way that we are living today? Why permaculture? How is it important?
Okay, well, now I suppose some ways to put it this way, even from a selfish perspective, there's a way to convince some people. For example, now if we have fossil fuels, they take thousands, millions of years to develop. And it has been developing, it'll increase. But unfortunately, our consumption is increasing at a much, much more higher rate. Yet, and we know that fossil fuels will at one point end. It could be 10 years from now, it could be 100 years from now. But we know it will eventually, our consumption will catch up and override the supply, the demand will override supply, and to the point where there is no more supply. That even if you have the money, you go to the shop and say, I want to buy, say, 10 liters of fuel. And the guy will say, no. And you say, why not? I have the money. The point is, it's not the money anymore. We just don't have it. So why is it, if it is far-fetched to understand the whole ideology, in the, some people might call it philosophical, ecology, whatever, that it sounds nice, that is far-fetching to some people, isn't it more far-fetching that we continuously design more machines that will rely on something that will eventually end? Isn't that equally far-fetching? So that's something that I think people need to think about in terms of how it can benefit them, how it can benefit society. Now, you know that when something becomes scarce, the price will become insane. And when something becomes scarce and near to absent, that's kind of indication or recipe for chaos. People start to go crazy, right? When you don't have water, you don't have this, people start to do crazy things and you don't have solutions. So that's why permaculture risks at least are working at ways of how can we do things in such a way that we can be here and we can do it in an ethical manner, in a way that is livable and not, say, unpractical. I think the conservationists have had, the people with the conservationist mindset, I think they've helped a great deal, let's be fair. But I don't think so that can solve a lot of problems. Now, I can't say that 100% of my life that permaculture will solve problems, but from what I've been learning so far, I think a lot of it is very helpful.
I think a lot of this philosophy might also find a lot of support in a faith-based perspective, like thinking beyond ourselves and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe you can provide a little context from a faith perspective, and also contrast that with why would government want to support this and industry players want to support it. It looks like it's going to lower exports, GDP, the economy, if everyone starts doing this.
Yeah. Okay, well, firstly, from the faith-based perspective, now, we know of a number of permaculture, like gurus or instructors who go around the world and teach some advanced places, modern places, and some not so modern places.
Right.
In some of the experiences when they teach some people in, say, the villages and rural areas, the villagers are telling them, look, we know this, we've been doing this. So permaculture, in essence, is not new. It's just that the packaging of the whole concept and the conscious development of that concept is kind of new. But elements of it is not new, like the way you do farming, the way some people grow vegetables, or the way some people manage water harvesting. That's already been existing in many old communities. So I just want to highlight that it's not new. Now, in the same line as that means when you're dealing with old things, you tend to deal with tradition. So traditional methods of farming, traditional methods of managing money, traditional methods of economy. A lot of the faith ideologies or faith religions today, belief system, I might not be using the right term here, but they are all tradition based. Now today you're living in a world where tradition is largely being threatened because you're being taught that anything that is new and modern, and we have to adapt to things, and as opposed to actually provide actual ethical solutions or solutions that work, we are being told to scrap the past and work with the new. A lot of people don't realize that when they scrap the past, that the past have actually better solutions, have provided better things for us. We, at some point, by adapting the new, we struggle. So I know of some people that have permaculture practitioners that have converted to Islam because they felt that whatever I've been teaching, I see in religion, or feel a bit more connected to the religion. Like I've met some staunch Buddhists that find that whatever they see in permaculture resonates with them a lot because they feel like whatever they're teaching, the principles match. And you contrast that to industrialized method of economy, now industrialized method of economy, whether it's capitalism or communism, is predicated on the same thing, which is taking living things, turning it into dead things, and selling it. Now, if permaculture, again, like we mentioned before, if it's a far-fetched idea, isn't that a more far-fetched idea that we're relying on something, that we take something living, turn into a dead thing, and then selling it, and then eventually working on scarcity, and then you're done. So a typical method of something that's being done is that whatever you consume today in terms of food or clothes that you use is coming from somewhere remote and rural. And this is how industrialized economies work. So the people who benefit and purchase these things, the source of the things that they consume is coming from somewhere far away, typically somewhere poor and somewhere rural. Now, unfortunately, the things that the companies or the people who extract these resources from these poor places will extract it in such a way that they extract so much in a degenerative manner and not a regenerative manner, like how forests will work. Forests are regenerative. But the industrialized economy works in a degenerative manner, so they extract and extract and extract to the point that there's nothing left, and then they leave. And the poor people in that area suffer because, first of all, they didn't have the money to buy the things that they were producing through these people and these businesses. Secondly, whatever resource that they had is now gone. So then these companies then move to another place, another poor place, and extract and extract and extract. Now, of course, they want it to be a poor place because it's cheaper and they can sell it to you cheaper and then you would buy it more. But to what end and to how long more can this continue? Now, it's not about to what end will we let this continue. Like, it's not something that I'm saying that, although we can, but it's not something that we're going out there to tell them, no, we can't do this, it's bad, it's that. No. But what I'm trying to say is that even for the company, it's going to reach a breaking point where they don't have anywhere else to go to continue to extract these resources because the resources are going to be gone. So that kind of leads to the second question in terms of government and the company. And they too will reach a narrowing road, and at some point it's going to reach a dead end. And they will either have to close their business or find something else to extract or find something new to sell. But the demand of the people that need these things will continue because the demand behavior is the same. Because they feel like they need to have this, they need to have that. As a result of that, like for example, they need to have heaters. So companies now will source around the world where they can find materials to create, heaters for temperate climates. But like I just mentioned, like that place in Garbage Warrior or Earth Shape, as we call it, they've designed a home in such a way that you don't even need a heater. The home is a self-heating system. Now, I think generally the people who practice an industrialized method of business will suffer at some point. But if they can find clever ways to slowly adapt and change the method of business, they may just benefit. But it also begs the question that do we even want to, do companies of such nature need even to operate anymore? So inevitably, I think some people might have to close down and close off. But if they are thinking about humanity and not thinking about their pockets, then I think it's workable because the same companies are also run by human beings. And the same people those human beings who work for these companies are just like us. Whatever resource that will eventually deplete that we can't have, the people who work in these companies also can't have. But I think that we also need to not get too panicky by thinking, by tomorrow or in 5 years' time, all these companies will close down. Because like everything in the world, it takes time to, the seeds to grow. So it's not going to be an extreme change by the next day and then so companies will close down. Nobody will use cars anymore. No, it will take time and people will slowly adapt to things. Now, of course, I admit there'll be losses, but I mean, the question is, do you want to lose money or do you want to lose lives?